this is yeah, the monster table.
Well, welcome back. It's been not that long since we've seen you last. What have you been up to in the last couple months?
Nothing. Training, changing diapers, not sleeping. Like, yeah, that's a thing. But no, just training and baby stuff. That's about it. Nothing else has changed in life.
Seems like you have a quick turnaround. Is that something you kind of wanted, or did you want a little bit more time to be at home with that baby?
So honestly, I was not supposed to fight. We had an agreement with coaches and like my strength coaches and everything else. But okay, if we're gonna stay at 85, I'm gonna put on some weight. Like I'm walking around at 200 pounds. Like we're gonna get to 210. We're gonna like, put on muscle, be 210, be a little bit bigger. Do some stuff, hang out with the baby. And then this happened. So I was like, okay, we're abandoning that plan. Now we have a new plan, and here we are.
So what is it about this fight that enticed you to take it? Why break that plan for this fight?
I deeply enjoy money. I will do awful, awful things for money. And when you offer to pay me, and then you offer to pay me, and I love to fight. I love to fight more than anything else. I've always told you guys before. I've said it once, I'll say it again. I'd rather fight than fuck, honestly. So, like, this is what I do. Like, I deeply respect Volkanovski for coming out and saying it. He's like, I love my family. He's like, I love my family. I love all, my kids, my wife. But when I don't have a fight scheduled, I'm lost and confused. And I'm like, guys, I love my girl. I love my kids. I love, both my boys. But when I don't have a fight, I am very empty inside. And like there is a hole that fighting fills that no other human being is going to fill. And I'm off, I'm doing my things, I'm training, I'm living life, I'm happy, but I'm like, man, I'd rather be fighting right now. So when it came up, I'm like, screw it, why not?
When the fight was approached, were you told originally who the opponent was, or was it like, hey, there's a fight on this date, main event, or was it, we want you to fight this guy?
So it kind of blurs because I'm pretty sure we were like talking about getting a fight scheduled later, whatnot. So they're going over opponents, and then they're like, oh, somebody's like, hey, Brendan Allen doesn't have an opponent for like the 6th. And I was like, I'll do it. So I think I kind of raised my hand, and UFC's like, all right, deal, cool. I just want to fight, man. It's Brendan's a dog. He's done really well since we fought last time. Like Brendan's, he's what, 27? My God, I wish I was 27. Like at 27 years old, man, I can't imagine the things he's going to accomplish in this sport. He's got 10 more years left in him at the earliest. So he's going to accomplish big things, man. It's going to be crazy. But this is a chance for me. I'll be 37 this year. I don't have time to do it the slow way. I'm not going to have a 10-year career in the UFC. So anytime I get those opportunities to see a number above mine and take it, I got to take it. And like this is one of those times. You
say that you wish you were 27. I wish I was 37. So
oh, shit.
Yeah, it never gets, never goes away. How has he changed since your last fight, or do you think that he has? Do you feel like this fight's going to go the same way it did the last time, or do you see it going differently this time?
Here's a weird thing about this, and like people take this, will immediately see this as like insulting, but it's not insulting. I don't think Brendan really changed much at all since we fought last, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think he needed to. Like, people are weird. Like, people understand that we're two very large, skilled men fist fighting. Things happen. Like, that's the point of fighting, guys. Like, you can do everything right and still lose. Like, I don't think he really had too much he had to adjust from the time we fought last time. I got there. I landed first. Like, hell, look at the punch that wobbled him. We were trading punches. I got there first. Like, so, unless you're like, oh, you got to be faster. But like, no, you're in a fight. Like, these things happen. That's the point of fighting. So I don't really think he's had to, like, everybody improves with time the more you do something. But I don't think he really had to make any giant adjustments. He was good then. He's good now. Like, I got there first. It's a fist fight. These things happen.
For a while there, you briefly deleted some social media. I think some of it's still deleted. Can you talk to me about the decision and maybe how your life changed during that time?
Yeah, I got rid of my Twitter and my Instagram for a while. Twitter's still gone because Twitter's terrible, and like all of you on Twitter are just you're god awful. But yeah, Twitter's still gone. Twitter will never come back. They came back briefly, actually, originally because I wanted to help raise money for my girlfriend's, one of her niece's friends got hit by a car at school. So I got online to help raise money for that. Like everybody that donated to that, thank you guys. I love you guys so much. I promise you, I didn't forget about you. I was gonna give stuff away for you. I got everything in a bag yesterday. I'm very slow and unorganized. I'm working on it. But outside of that, I'm somebody, my biggest enemy is always gonna be me. I have never given myself credit for doing anything I've done well. I am a ranked fighter in the UFC at the weight class above my natural weight, and I have never once stopped to give myself a pat in the back about it. Like, I don't give myself credit for my success, but the moment I fail, I am also my own biggest enemy, and I will make monuments to my failure to remind myself that I have failed. I am that guy. So it's just who I am, it's who I've always been. So in recognizing that, I have to understand that I don't need random people telling me things. Like, I just don't. You think it doesn't bother you, whatever, but like when you have like 30,000 people telling you like you did this wrong or you can't do this, shit gets tiring really fast. So for me, it's just better to not engage. Like, I know I had some great fans on Twitter who are awesome. I do miss you guys. Have some cool conversations with people. But overall, it's just not an atmosphere I enjoy. Even on Instagram, I backed away from it. My settings are very, very like set up so that I have like complete control over who can message me, who I can talk to. And I pay a kid I grew up with to screen my inbox messages so that like I don't see the hate. And it's better for me that way. And my life is better that way. Like, you know, people are like, you don't respond to your inbox. Like, I have a guy screening it. I pay to screen it like once a month, and he does that for me, so I don't even check. I am better that way because I'm so negative and so hard on myself that I don't need outside negativity doing it. And like, you know, you always get dumb shit. Like, there's a lot of people in this sport who aren't fighters that I respect. Like, you got guys, like some of you guys in here are very knowledgeable about, you know, the sport. I respect that. Guys like Luke Thomas is another guy who I've reached out to before and talked to. I respect his opinion. But you also have random like jackasses online who, God, like the social media age has ruined people because now people can just say things and people are like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. Like, no, it doesn't. Shut up. But now there's two of you and it spreads. Like today, some guy, I was talking to some guy in a comment, some guy was like, hey, did you see like Tracy Lucas or Luke Tracy said this about you? I'm like, who the fuck is Tracy Lucas? Or like Luke Tracy. I'm like, what? I'm like, no, like, I had no idea this man existed, and like I still don't know who you are. I don't even know what your fucking name is. But he's already made a video. I'm like, so what? I'm like, that's why I'm not involved because social media has allowed especially YouTube, has allowed any idiot to like make a video about you. And like once again, let's say old Bill Burr comic, like this is how like Hitler came to power. Like one guy saying some weird shit, there's one other guy like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. And now there's two of you, and it fucking spreads. So I'm just not a part of it. I'm not a part of the ecosystem. I don't need it, and my life is a lot better because of it.
And speaking of people who talk a lot of shit on Twitter, I'm wondering if you could tell us some Sean Strickland advice that you were given from Sean Strickland. Life advice. What's the best piece of life advice he's given?
Never take life advice from Sean Strickland. It's the best advice that I can give anyone. Like, don't take life advice. Bro, don't take life advice from Sean Strickland. Like, that is number one. Like, I'm telling you, man, like the scariest thing ever was Toronto. We're at the press conference, and like some guys like, Strickland, we love you. Tell us what to think. And I'm like, oh my God. So it begins. So best advice, don't take life advice from Sean Strickland.
Got it. And last question, can you explain your T-shirt? I can't see what it says. I can just.
Oh, yeah. It's mostly peaceful. Yeah, it's just, dude, like, you know, like, hey, I vibe with this shirt. Honestly, I'm a mostly peaceful human being. Like, you know, I've done some things, but nothing they could prove. Never been found guilty. So, like, it's America. It didn't count.
Thank you. You were asking for a main event after your last fight. So how happy were you when this opportunity like landed in your lap?
Oh, I loved it. I was super excited. Even if it wasn't Brendan, it was just cool to get a main event slot. got a really good skill on falling forward, and I kind of fell forward into a good position. So I was happy. I was begging for a main event fight. I got offered a fight, a couple fights. They weren't main event fights. So I was really bummed about it. And then I got this one. I was like, haha, universe looks out for me.
You haven't been submitted since 2011. You have, I believe, on UFC stats, you have the best takedown defense in the UFC. So I think a lot of people are like, how does Brendan Allen beat Chris Curtis, right? Like, you're a better striker than him. So is he just going to outpoint you for 5 rounds? Like, when you look at this matchup, like, is it as easy as that?
No, it's sorry, I'm a little. God, like I never had allergies my entire life till moving to Vegas in like spring. This is miserable. But no, honestly, it's not that easy because Brendan is a very unique problem to solve because there's nowhere that he's bad. Like Brendan's not a bad striker by any means. He's a pretty good striker. He's a decent wrestler. Not a bad wrestler, and he's a great grappler. There's not really too many areas to where he can't take care of himself. So people will be like, oh, well, he's going to outpoint you. Like, no. When someone is that well-rounded, the issue becomes you can't afford to make mistakes in any one area because, they're not bad there. They can take advantage. So I honestly believe I'm a much better wrestler than he is. That being said, he's good enough to where if I make a mistake, he can take an advantage. So it's not just like, oh, this stat's better, I don't have to worry. Like, no, his stats are high enough that he can take advantage of my mistakes. So the big thing for me becomes I've got to pitch, I've got to cut down on the mistakes I make. And I think the Burial fight, I really did cut back on a lot of the things I had issue with before. We've worked, my camp has worked so much on just like, me fighting at 85. Honestly, being a middleweight now, as opposed to like a lifelong welterweight, has had a couple issues in style that we've had to adjust. I can't fight the way I fought at 170 at 85. It just doesn't translate well with the size of the opponent. So we've had to learn some new things. And it's just a matter of implementing that because Brendan can take advantage of my old mistakes, and I can't go back out there and show the same look.
You mentioned you were planning on putting on weight for middleweight. Where's this weight going to go? Like, you can't put any more size on your shoulders, so. You know what? I don't honestly, like my Brad Tavares makes fun of my arms every time he sees me. He's just like, your arms get bigger and bigger every time you see me. But, the PI has really been working on like letting me get bigger and stronger. So I don't know, man. Like, I'm really grateful that like weight doesn't go to your head immediately because my head is, like, I couldn't have a bigger head. But I don't know. Yeah, it's like, right. Like it'd be rough. But I don't know, man. Like I've got big arms, big shoulders, big ass, small waist. So I'm like blessed, but we'll see. Like, if I can get like a little bit bigger junk, I'd be happy. But outside of that, like it is what it is. What happened between Roman and Ivovov that you were gonna jump over the cage and fight Nasruddin?
God damn, he's just the dirtiest motherfucker who's ever fought, I've seen fight. Like, guys, I've got 41 fights. And, like, I don't think I've ever been called for an eye poke. I don't think I've headbutted anybody. I haven't, everybody's accidental nut kick, whatever. I've never kicked a down opponent. How do you do this shit back to back, like, every fight? Like, my God. Like, you're either dirty or stupid. All right, so like that's just one of those. You're either dirty or dumb. Like I don't know which one you pick, but Jesus, I can go most of my career without fucking gouging people's eyes, headbutts, and all of that. But he does this shit every single fight. So like what the fuck?
Last two for me, it was announced today you're going to be in the UFC video game in June.
Finally.
Are you happy about that?
Dude, I refused to play the UFC video game until they put me in. And that was my stipulation. People were like, oh, will you play with me? I'm like, no, I won't touch this game until I'm in it. So that's exciting. Thank you, EA. Thank you.
And then finally, are you...
Don't fuck my stats up, please. Like, as I say this, like, please don't give me shitty stats. Like, oh, God, guys, do not do that. I swear to God, please don't do that.
Are you excited for the new Mad Max movie that's coming out soon? Dude, Furiosa, I'm very excited about. Like, I was a big fan of Fury Road, so like Furiosa is gonna be interesting. I really want to see where they go with it, but I am super excited about it. I almost wore my Witness Me shirt today, but I thought OJ would be better. But yeah, I'm very excited. I'm a huge Mad Max fan, so keep your fingers crossed. Please don't take this from me.
Which would you rather that EA gets right? The looks, the body, or your stats? I mean, what if he gave you great stats, but you look absolutely like nothing?
I don't care what I look like. Give me good stats. Like, oh my God, nothing's worse than. I remember I was living with Sam Alvey when he first got in the game. His feelings were so hurt because they gave him such bad stats. I remember on the couch and he's just like, he was so fucking hurt. And I was like, I never want to do that. Like, Sam's feelings were fucking hurt, guys. So yeah, like, don't put me through that, please. Yeah, like, I don't gotta be the best, but like, give me like upper middle tier, please. Like, I'm begging you.
And last one, this is your second son?
Yeah, Barrett. Yep.
So I know that in fighting you get a lot of experience that carries over to your next fight. So you have a son. I think your first one's like maybe 15 or
15, be going 16 this year. Yeah.
Are you going to take experience from that in this one right now? Or are you already feeling more like a seasoned vet as a?
Oh, dude, hell no! Like, something. Everybody. Like, my mother always said, like, little Chris was like, she's like, he's a kind of a cheat because he's such a great kid. He was easy. He's easy for me. Barrett is an emotional terrorist. To where, like, I don't. Like, little Chris was fine. He wants to play. Like, if he didn't want anything. He just kind of sit and like, play with himself. Barrett is an emotional terrorist. Like, he has to be held. Like, you can't be in the room with him and not acknowledge him for too long because he's like, what the hell's going on, guys? Like, and I think it's our fault because he's such a cute baby when he was born. Everybody's been like Googling over him, like, oh, he's so cute, and now he expects that at all times, and like that was a mistake. And that kid is I love him to death. But he is an emotional terrorist. And like all the things I've learned from my first son, from little Chris, do not apply to Barrett because he is just a whole different monster.
Is he going to be a gym baby? Is he going to, once he gets big enough, is he going to start spending the time at the gym with you?
He comes to sparring. He comes to training already. It's funny because like I don't know what was in the air around like last year, but like everyone has like a 5 or 6 month old baby at the gym. There's like 6 of them now. Like, so it was like me, like Roy Sadibu, Jeremy Kennedy. We've all got like kids just like laying around. So there's like a bunch of strollers at the gym watching their dads fight. Like, yeah. So it's just funny, man. We're going to have a crazy stable here in a few years.
That's awesome. Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Well, welcome to Vegas. How are you feeling this week?
I'm feeling great. The preparation was awesome. And just being at the Apex it's awesome. But like a year ago, I was here as a fan. So now to be here, fight as a competitor, it feels awesome.
What fight were you watching a year ago?
Man. I was here for the Drew Dober and Terrence fight. And I remember after his fight, I kind of got too excited. I think we ended up leaving early that time just to catch him. And yeah, man, just seeing him perform here just gave me more motivation to keep chasing. And I got my opportunity.
And you've got back-to-back wins. Do you feel kind of comfortable in there yet? Or is there always going to be a sense of like, I don't want to say pressure, but is there always going to be a little bit of unease in there? Because of the age?
Yeah, for sure. There's always pressure, like, I'm fighting for more than just myself. I'm fighting for a lot of other people back home and my team, my corner. So I just feel like I obviously, like, I feel a little bit like nervous at first, but then once I see the curtain and once it opens, it all shuts off and I'm just ready to go. After my last fight, fighting in enemy territory with Jack, getting booed by 60,000 people. I felt like after that and performing, I kind of felt like I shook all that off.
Do you kind of like that a little bit, like the booing, and like does it give you a little bit of extra motivation when you have people kind of rooting against you?
Yeah, it does. For some reason, it triggers something. It's like, oh, we're here for business. Like, oh, you're gonna boo me. Oh, you're gonna end up from booing me. You're gonna be cheering me on. Watch.
So going from that now to the Apex where there won't be people, there might still be people booing you, but how have you prepared for how different that might feel in there?
Yeah, for sure. I'm always A game. I always want to fight. I love fighting. It don't matter. It could just be me and him in the room, and just cameras going around. It don't matter. I'm down to scrap. I feel like it's gonna be. I'm gonna fight the better version of him, and myself is gonna be able to perform because we get to hear our corners. So it's good. It makes it makes it more exciting. It's like, oh, it's more quiet. Oh, the fans have to pay extra to be here, So I feel like once I do this, perform, fight, I hope that I get to get in a bigger crowd later on.
What do you think of your opponent?
He's good. He's got a lot of experience, I obviously said yes because I like saying yes to the guys that are tough. He's got a lot of experience. He's fought in some promotions I fought, but I just feel like he hasn't fought anybody like me.
What kind of fight are you expecting from him?
Calm, trying to be sharp. I think he's going to try to counter fight. He's going to wait a little bit. I see that he's a pocket puncher. He likes to put his hands down, then throw punches. But I feel like I'm just going to expose his style like everybody else.
Do you feel like this fight might go the full rounds, or are you expecting to get in and out of there pretty quick with him?
Nah, I'm trying to go get in there, get out, It'd be cool, like, if he survives or I survive or however it goes. It'll be probably fight of the night for sure, another fight of the year. I always try to perform, try to do the best, but I'm trying to get him out in the first.
Have you allowed yourself a little bit of looking forward, looking at 2024 and some goals for you for the year, or are you just solely focused on this fight?
Well, obviously a lot more focus on this fight, get this one done, but I just want to be a consistent fighter for them. I want to keep showing up. If I could fight, every 2 months, 3 months, and if I'm good, like, let's go.
Thank you.
Hey, Chepe. So you banged out 2 fights in 3 months, and then you take an 8-month layoff. Were you just looking for a fight, or was that just to kind of let the body rest and heal?
Nah, I was ready to go, man. I was like, oh, this is awesome. I got chills after my win, and I was just like, oh, this is the beginning. Like, oh, this is awesome. At 31, I'm where I want to be. I feel like I'm mature to make the right decisions as well. So I feel like, man, just I was letting my manager know, the matchmakers know, like, hey, man, anybody, let's go. I got a lot of no's. A lot of people I even tried to step in for, and there was no's. So I'm like, all right, well, we'll see. And then this opportunity came. Obviously, another short notice, and I was like, all right, let's go. I obviously told them I'm ready, and I'm ready to go.
Does it make the short notice opportunity easier because you were already in shape, ready to go?
Yeah, well, I stay ready. I'm trying to stay even more more ready than I've ever been. You know, now I'm in the big show. I'm trying to make right decisions, do the right things, and yeah, man, just really come and show everybody who I am.
I wanted to ask you, so, you know, you put work out. You grinded on the regional scene. You won big fights, you lost big fights, you fought everybody, right? So you earned your way to the UFC. But when you see guys that are like 5-0, or maybe like, you know, 18-3, but they fought nobody on the regional scene, but you fought everybody on the regional, like, does it kind of annoy you that it took you so long, or like what's your thoughts on that?
Man, I take it like Mortal Kombat, man. You know, you got some characters who are good, some are great. You're like, oh, this one actually is the best one. So I look at it as that. You know, you get this promotion's got to keep their fights going. So obviously they're trying to find the best talent, the best guys. You know, and obviously you have, as a fighter, you have to show out when you go out there.
And sometimes the promotion does not bring in guys like you who have grinded on the regional scene. Was there ever, you know, when you were out there fighting everybody, was there ever a thought in your head like, maybe I'm not going to make it to the UFC, or like, did you know at some point you were going to make the walk? Man,
what's crazy is I even told my partner, I was like, man, at 30, if I'm not at the UFC, because I fought all these monsters. If you can see my resume, I was like, man, after 30, I got to go probably do something else, be a coach, maybe help others become that fighter that I wasn't, you know, like, or something. But then I was like, you know what? Something's telling me to stay in it. You know, like I lost my mother to breast cancer a year ago, and she was one person who said, stay in it. Even when I lost, she was like, oh, it's okay, shake it out, go back to the gym, fix your things, and back to work, you know? And I just felt like those words have always stuck with me. And yeah, man, just doing what I got to do to perform, obviously, and then something, you know, kind of clicked, you know, it let me in, you know, and then I got the short notice call with Peak, and I was like, let's go.
What's it like sparring Justin Gaethje?
Oh, it's crazy, man. It's like it's a highlight in there, man. Like, I'm surprised there's no more like cameras in there and all, you know, like me and him be doing crazy stuff to each other. I would like, I'm not big on posting all that stuff, you know. I don't like, and that's the thing, like guys like to post practice stuff. Like anybody could win in practice. Anybody could look good on the mitts. You know, it's like, how can you, like, can you perform? Can you fight? Can you actually be a fighter? And that, I feel like seeing him and then, you know, in the room and then him performing, I was like, I could do exactly the same thing or better.
Obviously, you're going to back your guy, but how do you see Justin versus Max next week?
Yeah, it's going to be a good fight. I obviously want, you know, everybody loves Max. You know, I fell in love with Max with his style, his, you know, his velocity, his, you know, his confidence. So I was like, oh, okay, but that was a dude I had dreams of fighting and beating. You know, I had a dream. I dropped him with a body shot and won the UFC title. So I was like, damn. I was like, all right, I got to stay in this, right? So, but then you meet Justin Gaethje. You know, like me and him at first, we were kind of like head on head, going against each other a little bit, and then we grew a good friendship where I seen more of just the highlight. You know, more of Gaethje, the outside guy, where he gave me more, you know, more advice than any other fighter. You know, like how is it to be in the big show or fight, you know, main event or be the BMF title holder. You know, and just knowing him even more, I'm like, man, this guy is gonna wreck Max for sure.
Awesome, thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, guys.
Welcome back. How are you feeling?
Feeling great, man. It's been a long time. Been really trying to be patient, but it's been a long time, so I'm ready to go.
How do you stay positive during that time when you're not fighting?
I'm a busy guy, man. I got 4 daughters. I got my gym opened last year. I have a lot going on, outside of just fighting. So it's I'm always busy. So I just gotta, get focused on that stuff. Ramp it up a little bit more. But besides that, that's usually how I deal with everything. It's to work out, go to work, and I get past it pretty easy.
What was the reason for the length? Was it a decision you made? Was it that you were
No.
hard to find fights?
No, I was probably annoying Shelby. I was, hitting him up like every other week. I was like, hey, this guy dropped. Let me in. Like, so, it's just timeline. I think that they wanted to give me a big matchup. And I think that, people like long camps. I personally don't care for them. I like to do short notice because I'm always training. So, who knows what it was. But, I'm ready to go. And I'll stay active this year.
What was the feeling like when you finally got that call?
It was great. It was like it was great because I was like December, January. I didn't even think about January. Honestly, I was looking for November, December, and I kind of forgot about January and February. And then those fights got booked, and then February was booked, and then it was like March. I was like, oh my gosh, man! Like, give me a short notice, something. And they finally gave me a fight, and it was like the beginning of January or maybe mid-January. They gave me the fight for April. I was like, well, I can't really complain because, they gave me a fight, but, it's not tomorrow. It's, 6 or 3 months out, so whatever.
So when do you start a fight camp when you know that far in advance?
I am in fight camp mode all the time. My weight's always good. My cardio is always good. I train. Like, I truly love this, like, the whole aspect of the whole thing. The only thing that's a little different for me is that I cut out some carbs, like, when it gets closer to fight time. But my training is always, where it needs to be. My cardio is, always where it needs to be, and my weight's always good. So, like, for me, the only thing that changes is maybe some more intense sparring. That's about it.
What were your thoughts when you heard the opponent?
This is a matchup that almost got made years back in a different, LFA, a smaller promotion. It's something that we're both from Texas. He was coming up, I was coming up. We almost fought, we didn't, and nothing was really said after that. But I'm actually pretty tight with Cowboy Cerrone. Him and my coach are, they used to be teammates. And so when he talked all that smack with Cowboy, it kind of lit some fire underneath me. I was like, dude, like, this guy's so arrogant. Like, he talks so much smack. And so ever since then, I kind of just haven't liked him. So definitely when I got the matchup, I was excited for sure.
What was he saying?
Look back at the press conference. He talked about how old Cowboy was and how he was just going to tool him and he was going to do whatever he wanted to him. And he talked a lot of smack, man, like a lot of smack. So it is what it is. It wasn't about me. I don't take anything personally, really. I just there's some people that I don't really not like a whole lot of people, but I just don't like him, and I don't know what it is, but something about his face. I don't know.
Does he know you don't like him, or
I don't
is this
know.
gonna be the first
He'll
time?
know now. I don't know.
I'll ask him.
Hey. Yeah.
So you guys haven't run into each other at the hotel or anything, or?
No. I would never, like, even if I didn't like him, I would never go up and like, hey, we're gonna fight. We're gonna be there Saturday night. We're gonna fight, and things will be settled then.
Imagine that you guys had fought when you originally were talked about. How different are you guys now than that would have been then?
Completely different. I think we were both undefeated at the time. He's just a different. He still thinks of himself as that undefeated fighter, and where I've been humbled. Where you can learn from these mistakes that you've made and things like that, and I think that he hasn't learned from that. And I don't care what he's changed with this camp, he's still going to have a problem with my cardio, and I'm still going to be coming forward. I'm still going to be looking for a finish in that third round when he's dying. So I think that there's so much that's changed. I think we both have had those wars for sure, but I think that he's lacking the ability to like learn from his mistakes, and he definitely comes out aggressive every single fight, does the same thing every single fight, and I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm going to come forward, he's going to be coming forward, and I'm not going to stop, and he will.
Sounds like you think it's going to go to the third round. Is that what you're expecting from him?
I'm expecting a third round battle, but I'm looking for a finish. So wherever that comes, I'm looking for a finish.
Do you feel like you're a more dangerous fighter right now because you're coming off a couple losses and you have that animosity towards him?
No, I don't have animosity towards him. I'm a more dangerous fighter right now because I have just grown so much in this last year. It was a rough year. So, like, I have grown so much from this last year, and I'm just a completely different person all around. And, you know, my style had to change because I had an injury, which I've never had really. And so that put a lot of pressure on me to like learn different things and, you know, become a different fighter. And mentally, I've grown so much from this last year. It's been, you know, huge trials, huge errors, and things have just, you know, went up and down. And, you know, I'm in a great spot right now, mentally and physically, just, you know, through the roof right now. I'm ready to go.
Thank you.
Hey, Damon, how do you decide on how much you're going to train at your Fortis and Safe's Fortis?
I'm at both every day. So I go to my place in the morning, so 5:30 in the morning classes. I'm there, you know, teaching either kickboxing or like an MMA fit, like workout-wise. And then I go to Dallas around like 8 a.m. So I'm there from like 5:30 to 8. Go to Dallas from 9 to 12. I still train some of my clients there. I train there in the morning, and then I go back to my gym and I train there midday and at night. So I'm doing 2 and 3 days, 4 to 5 days a week. You know, I'm working like 19-hour days, and I have so much energy and so much mentally. I'm just so free right now, like with everything, and just like different level for sure.
What's the difficulties of being a gym owner?
You know, just learning as you go is a crappy way to do things. And I've been around the gym my whole life, the gym scene. So, like, you think you know things that you don't have a freaking clue about. And so, and really just, like, kind of like right now I've got some really good teammates and really good friends that are taking over some classes for me and helping me out with things. And so just having the ability to learn how to like let some stuff go to other people and like let them control that, it's hard to do, but it's very necessary because you can't be there teaching every class, doing everything like that. So just learning as you go, it's been a rough one, but you know, I'm at a really good point right now.
How much advice did Safe give you?
Oh yeah, every day. Like I'm always like, hey, you know, what do I gotta do to get these numbers up? What can I, you know, whatever. It made just being around him for all these years, learning how to coach and learning how to speak to people, learning how to like carry yourself, and you know, I've learned so much from him, and it just he's one of the best coaches to ever do it, and to learn from him as a gym owner and a coach, like you know, both ways, it's been great.
After you're done fighting, like, and obviously you like coaching. Like, is that what your role is going to be?
I'm doing it now. So like the very selfish part of me wants to stay here for 300 the whole week. I want to be here the whole week and, you know, just eat all of it up because I know it's such a big week. But I have guys fighting on the 12th. I have guys fighting on the 18th. And, like, I have guys fighting regularly now. So, like, for me to get back and make sure they're training the right way, make sure that things are going good for them is important to me. And I'm going to be back in Dallas on Monday night teaching classes and doing my thing. And, you know, I've grown a lot from it and just mentally just in a different spot with it. And like getting to teach them things that I haven't done in 10 years or more to kind of refresh myself with the fundamentals has been a really good thing for my style as well.
Since your last fight, Ilia Topuria became the champion. And I just wanted to like ask, you know, being a former opponent, did you see like how special he was while watching tape on him and then obviously fighting him?
Well, before we fight, he had nothing online, like nothing. And so I'm like, oh, this dude's he's a black belt. Like, I don't care about a black belt. I don't care about jiu-jitsu. Like, I don't care who you are. Like, I can grapple with you. And if you're the same size as me. So, like, whenever they gave me the matchup, I told Coach, I was like, hey, I want this fight. They think this guy's, you know, awesome. But I'm gonna take him down in 7 because he all he showed was grappling. It was like some videos of him grappling or some, you know, fights of his where he took the guy down or whatever. And so I was like, oh, there's no threat on the feet. I'm gonna take the fight. And Coach is like, no, they think this guy's gonna be the next champ. They think he's gonna like whatever. I'm like, whatever. Like, I just want the fight. And so we kind of had like he didn't want me to take it, and I took it on kind of a, you know, shorter notice camp. And but I was not expecting his boxing and his movement, his speed. Like he's a very talented dude, man. So to see him, to lose to him, and to see him go on and win, to see Danny Ige up there, you know, winning, and you know, I always known Danny Ige was a tough fighter and a very special fighter, and so I'm happy to see him continue to win after he beat me. You know, like I wasn't the same person for that fight. I didn't have my pec. I tore it right before the Pat Sabatini fight, and I got lucky as hell and caught him with a front kick, and because that would have been rough to wrestle him the whole fight. And so, you know, like to lose to those guys and to see them doing well, it's pretty cool. And I didn't lose to Billy. I don't care what anybody says. I didn't lose that damn fight. So I'm not on a 2-fight skid. I'm on a no contest and a loss. So.
Do you regret taking the Topuria fight now?
No, I know. I don't regret anything. I don't really, like, there's not a lot in my life that I regret. So, like, very few things. And definitely not one of them, no.
Thanks, man.
Good.
Well, welcome back. It's been a bit since we've seen you. How are you doing?
Really good. I got my neck fixed, so that's why I've been out for a little while. I had like C5 through C7 discs replaced. So
What was that like?
it was pretty nerve-wracking. I'd postponed for a long time just because that's an invasive surgery. It's, you know, it's a spinal surgery. I had one fight left in my contract, and I was like, you know, do I fight it out or do I get this fixed? And after the Matt Brown fight, I was like, dude, I need to get this fixed. So I scheduled it. I went in, I got it fixed, and I just didn't like, okay, all bets off. Like, okay, well, we'll see what happens. And it's like post-op, like 10 minutes, I felt incredible. And I'm talking like 10 minutes after I woke up post-surgery, I was like, oh my gosh, my neck is fixed. Went through therapy, did all the stuff, you know, waited the allotted amount of time to where I could start to, you know, make contact and increase my training. And then I did like kind of like a 6-week fight camp, like trial, cut weight, sparring, wrestling, grappling, live stuff, like hard lifting, hard training, and I felt fantastic. So I called the matchmaker and was like, hey, I think I can fight in April. That's enough time for this thing to heal properly. I feel really good. And then I ended up renegotiating for 4 more fights, and this is the first fight in my 4-fight contract. Yeah, he gave me an opponent, an Alex Morono, and I was like, absolutely, that's a great fight. I've seen him fight a couple of times. We may have even fought on the same card. Yeah, he's game. He's pretty good everywhere. I think it's a really exciting fight. And so scheduled it, and boom, here we are, April 6th, this Saturday.
Do you feel like a whole new fighter? Like, has it kind of opened your confidence level and all that? Do you feel like going into this is like almost a whole new fresh start for you?
100%. I didn't realize how bad my neck was, and I've had a lot of injuries. I mean, I don't know how long it's been, since 2010, so like 14 years or something like that, that I've been fighting with the UFC. And these last couple of years, like I've dealt with it, but like through steroid injections, like maintenance and stuff like that. But when you're talking about a spinal surgery, it's pretty serious, you know? And so it's, you know, you have to kind of look at the longevity, you have to look at the damage. And I've had other surgeries too that I had complications with that had put me out. And the problem with fighting at a really high level is you have to constantly be evolving, otherwise you get left in the dirt. And so it's like, if you're off for too long, I mean, it's hard to get back to the curve. And so, or get back with the times. And so with this one, I kind of, you know, it's early on, maybe 4 or 5 years into my career, I had a wrist surgery that went bad twice. I had to do revisions. I was out for almost 2 years, and I almost hung it up then just because, you know, it was so challenging to come back and compete. But with this one, man, I feel like, I mean, I was out for the 3 or 4 months. I went back, like everything went as scheduled, but like I could shoot on this side. Like I didn't have to make any major adjustments. As a matter of fact, like when my kids talk to me in my truck and I turn my head, I have to like old man this. I was like, oh my gosh. So sometimes I'm still like turning my head and I'm like, well, I don't need to do that anymore. You know, so it's like I didn't know how bad it was until I got it fixed. And so, yeah, like a new lease on life, even outside of fighting. But in the gym, man, I feel great, you know, with live rounds, so it's like definitely a little bit more confidence. And then also, too, like it kind of eases some of the burden of like, I don't want to get done and be like, oh, I should have stopped earlier because of this injury. And so, I don't know, confidence is good, like quality of life is really good. And then, yeah, so I'm in a good spot mentally and physically. And man, the desire to prepare like has not left. Like, man, you know, I put like 57 practices in for this, you know what I mean? And it's like the desire was there, the determination. You know, there's some times where practices like didn't work out, but I still made it happen, and I still, you know, so it's like that is still there. And outside of that, when it's time to go, like, I'll be fucking ready. So it's good.
And we just talked at length about all the positives, but is there even a little bit of you that's worried that, oh my gosh, I may have spent all this time fixing this and I could go in there and injure it in 4 seconds?
A little bit, but it's like I worked with a neurospinal guy who's the best in his field, and he left me with great confidence. I mean, one of the things that I asked before I even went in there was like, hey, what's the likelihood of me re-herniating this? What's the likelihood of me injuring it if I return to sport? Will it take care of the pain in my arm, the pain in my chest, the pain in my bicep? Will those things, and he left me with confidence, like, listen, if you keep competing like you are right now, you're definitely going to re-herniate it. Like, the likelihood of re-herniating is significantly higher. But after, he's like, yeah, you're not going to re-herniate it. Obviously, injuries can happen and things like that, but I have a lot of confidence going in that it'll be strong, it'll be durable, and so I feel really good about it. And then with the practices that I put in, it's like I've been pushed everywhere, and I feel really confident that it will stay, and so I don't have any apprehensions going into the fight with the injury or re-herniating it or injuring my neck, and I feel pretty confident. Also, too, I know Aljamain Sterling had it, Chris Weidman had it. We had different doctors, but the confidence that they had going out competing before and after, like, I feel pretty confident, so I don't have any apprehension.
Did you speak to either of them about the experience or get
Just
advice?
Chris. I asked Chris. I sent him a message and was like, hey, what do you think? He's like, oh, it's the best thing ever. And so it was like 100% yes, do it. For me, it was just, possibly hanging it up, was kind of hanging over. And then also, too, towards the end, like the last week or two before I made the decision, like it was, being in long-term recovery, I don't take prescription pain pills. And I was like getting to the point where I was like, oh my gosh, like this is horrible. The little Oura rings that the UFC gave us a while ago? So I had an Oura ring. So for a year, my average sleep time a night was like 3 hours and 12 minutes. So not only was I not sleeping, but like I was having a difficult time with a lot of things. It was kind of like if I warmed up for training, that's when I felt good because my neck was warmed up. But outside of that, like, having to take a bunch of like Tylenol and ibuprofen and naproxen, sodium naproxen, and like, man, it's just like, and now that stuff I don't have to take, like, so I feel really good about it.
What about your opponent? I know you already mentioned a little bit about him, but what sort of fight are you expecting on Saturday night?
Fireworks. He comes blazing, it kicks and punches. He moves forward. He adapts well. He's got some submission finishes. I seen him. I don't watch a lot of like footage on the person that I'm fighting, but I've seen him fight. Like I remember watching him fight Donald Cerrone, and I remember him taking him down. I've seen him catch a few people in submissions, and so it's like I kind of know what my game plan is. I don't really look or expect certain things from him. Of course, there's things that he does in the fights that I've seen, but that's part of the fun and elusive part, is that I get to go prepare to compete against him, and so he's going to have to adapt to my game plan. That's my mindset. So outside of that, it should be a really exciting fight because he's an exciting fighter. So, and I am too. So I'll be pressing forward and finding a way to win.
And now that you're a whole new fighter, how do you kind of see the rest of the year playing out? Do you want to keep fighting a lot? Do you have like specific goals in mind for the year?
Well, I'm definitely not a spring chicken, but on the elevator on the way over here, somebody was like, what are you, in your late 20s? I'm like, what? I said, no, I'm 39. And she's like, no way. And then she was with her daughter, and I asked where they were from, and she was like, like basically Salt Lake City. And I was like, oh, well, I live in Provo. I said I was born in Ogden. She was, I was going to tell you I was from Ogden, but nobody knows where Ogden is. And so we ended up like communicating and talking. But I forgot what I was going to say. God
Just
damn.
want to give her a shout out for calling
Yeah.
you in your 20s.
Yeah.
Your goals for the 2024.
Oh, my goals, yeah. So, and I also, she was like, well, is it something I can come to? And I said, well, they're anticipating coming to Salt Lake City in like summer, like late summer, early fall, tentatively. And so my plans would be to come back and compete in Salt Lake City. I fought there 6 or 7 years ago, and it was incredible. Like, I'd had a bunch of fights in Utah outside of the UFC, and then but fighting there, like, I mean, there was like thousands of fans there. Like, it was insane. It was so loud. Like, my walkout music, I couldn't even hear my walkout music because it was so loud. And then after they called the decision, it was so, like, it was an incredible experience. So I would be looking forward to coming back and fighting in Salt Lake City if they came back. And then outside of that, you know, of course, I just take it one fight at a time, pending injuries or whatever. So.
Thank you.
Did you say that when you were recovering from the spinal surgery, you were only taking like ibuprofen or aspirin?
Yeah, just Tylenol. So I didn't take one pain pill.
That's crazy. As a fellow guy that had a spinal surgery, you're an absolute monster. I mean, I don't know how you could get through. So I understand when you say you didn't sleep much, because that's ridiculous.
Yeah, dude, it was horrible, absolutely horrible. But I won't just. And I know it's not everybody, but for me, I will not leave post-op with prescription pain medication just because of my past and being in long-term recovery. So this time I didn't have to. I didn't have to at all. I did take some Tylenol. I did take some ibuprofen, but you know, it was for those first couple of weeks. And the incision was in the front, so the toughest part was like talking, because my trachea was all scratchy and felt like I got punched in the throat for like 2 weeks. But outside of that, man, I felt great.
You know, it's interesting, you know, you talk back about the wrist surgeries. Now, at the time, you almost called it quits. And then you talk about a neck surgery. Most of us would think, like, that's worse. But then you want to still continue. Was it just the words of the doctor? Was it talking to people like Chris Weidman that made you feel better about that surgery as opposed to maybe the apprehension you had of the wrist surgeries earlier on in your career?
I think cumulative. I think it was the confidence from the surgeon. I think it was confidence from other like fellow fighters. And then on top of it, how I felt. Like ultimately it was how I felt. And so after going through the therapy and doing all the strength training and mobility stuff, and then coming back, like I have an incredible team, Agima Jiu-Jitsu and MMA in Provo, Utah. Like I have students, I have athletes, I have just regular people. And you know, my coaches like Marco Sanchez, he's a fellow teammate and training partner. I have great teammates and teamwork, and it's like the confidence from training and how I felt was kind of my ultimate determining factor. And then outside of that, the confidence from the doctor and from like Chris, you know, it's like, he said he felt great. He's like, man, I got back to it. I've been wrestling. You know, and so I'm just like, okay, you know what? I think it helped with all of them.
Yeah. And you said you put in roughly, and I'm sure you could have just been spitballing a number. You said you put in 57 practices.
Yeah.
I don't know how long the fight week camp, because I know a lot of times fighters say 8 weeks. Mm-hmm. That's every day, you know. So how long was this, and how often were you able to? And is that different amount than what you would do in the past?
So I try to really like pick it up 6 weeks out. But one thing that I do that I think has helped me maintain is that I do between 6 and 9 practices a week, even when I'm not training for a fight. And so I try to stay consistent all throughout the years, because the 2 years that I had off, there was about 10 months where I couldn't practice, like, and I was like mad. I was upset with myself. I was upset with like training, and it was a wrist surgery. It was hand. And, you know, it's like there was a certain point where I kind of gave up a little bit on myself, where I was like, dude, if I can't punch and I can't grab with this hand, I shouldn't be doing anything. But I learned from that, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm not using this hand, you know, maybe get better at left hooks, maybe work this. And so I I use those past experiences to adapt. For me, it's kind of like if shit's broke, I get it fixed and I heal up, but I maintain a certain level of training all throughout the year, no matter what. Because for the last like 15 years, this has been my primary source of income. Outside of the speaking, running a gym, doing like little endorsement things, the McGee project stuff like speaking. And so it's kind of like I had to put this first. So I just made sure that no matter what, I put in 6 to 9 practices a week. And so for me, I found out, I think it was like 10 or 11 weeks or 12 weeks before, but I don't think we got the deal done until like 8 or 9 weeks before. But I just was like, okay, well, he's looking for a fight. I'm going to start preparing right now and give myself a little bit more time because I was out for those, 2.5 or 3 months where I wasn't active. I was just doing light stuff. So the confidence is good coming into it. And then I knew a little bit before, and so I just started practicing. And then once I found out who it was kind of like, okay, well, we'll adapt our training. I gave the name to my coaches. They kind of game plan training, and then I go from there.
And then they give you another 4-fight deal. That's gotta feel good that the UFC still obviously has confidence that they are entertained by what you put out there. Did that give you maybe extra breathing room going into this fight, and just overall knowing that you have more fights on the books?
Yeah, it definitely did. It's like a breath of fresh air, and then it's like, oh, you need to commit yourself for the next 2 years. So it's like kind of a double-edged sword. Like, ever since I made it into the UFC, I've taken it one fight at a time because there is no guarantees. Injury can opt you out. Sometimes the pressure can take you out, and then sometimes the UFC can take you out, or opponents can take you out. So there's lots coming against you. So it's kind of like my whole career, I've tried to stay in the moment, stay in today, and then focus on, obviously your next fight is your most important fight. It does give you a little bit of breathing room knowing that you renegotiated and you do have, a set number of fights. But also, too, it's like you're never guaranteed those fights. Like, I'm not guaranteed until I step on the scale and weigh in. And then I'm not guaranteed until I step in that cage and they say fight and we go. So it's kind of like, you see people miss weight, you see people get injured, people like falling down in the tubs and shit, and like, so it's like there's no guarantee. So I try to control what I can control, think about what I can control, focus on what I need to do. And then that way I'm prepared and ready to step in there when it's time to go.
And then last for me, 40 is just around the corner as well. Like you said, this could be the next 2 years. Do you envision if things get good, you stay through these last fights? Will you try to get another one, or do you think possibly that these fights could be the end of the fighting days?
It's kind of 50-50. So I don't want to look too far ahead, but if I'm feeling good and I'm competing good, then bring it on. If not, I do want to look at the long-term repercussions, because being 40, next chapter, which I've been building, probably 3 years into the UFC, I started speaking professionally. And so outside of that, it's kind of like, okay, what's my next route? I own and operate a gym with 2 of my close friends, Dane and Amy Aristizabal. And so outside of that, like, I don't want to put too much stock in looking too far ahead. But hey, if I feel good, I'm going to keep going.
And I know I said that was going to be the last one, but you did bring up the speaking thing. I'm sorry, I don't know this. How is the Court McGee project still going well?
Yes, last year we spoke. We spoke all over the country. We went to New Jersey, we went to New Mexico. So I speak to youth, young adults, juvenile justice, like youth detention, youth corrections, high schools, middle schools, open to the public, but it's all recovery related. And then the McGee Project has a few things that implements the ability to help youth and young adults that come forward that need help. with recovery. And yeah, it's a 501c3 nonprofit, the McGee Project. So you can go on and check us out. You can book us to speak. I kind of limit it to about 15 to 20 a year tops, so that I can still maintain my training schedule, operate my gym. But my why is carrying the message to people who struggle. And so that gives me the motivation to show up and give Alex Morono my fucking best. You know, that gives me the motivation to show up to my son's wrestling practices, to coach the high school wrestling that I coach at Mountain View High School. That gives me the drive and motivation to work with athletes that come into my gym that want to compete, because I can share my story with them. So it's my motivating factor in everything that I do. And the most important thing in my life is my recovery. I wouldn't have my wife. I wouldn't have my kids. I wouldn't have a 14-year career in the UFC. I wouldn't have the friendships or relationships that I had I not got sober April 16th, 2006. So if I stay sober for another couple of weeks, you know, God willing, on April 16th, I'll have 18 years of continuous sobriety.
That's incredible. Congratulations. I look forward
Thanks,
to it.
man. Good? Thank you. Did you get any cool new
Well, both you and Chris have interesting choice of shirts today. I don't know if you've seen his yet, but
I haven't seen his yet.
you'll
What
have
is
to
it?
Check it out. It's what did it say, guys? It was O.J. Simpson with the gloves, and it's. Anyways, just look it up.
Oh, if it don't fit, you gotta quit.
Basically. So, can you explain yours?
Huh?
Can you explain your shirt?
That's what I'm coming to do on Saturday. I'm coming to clap his cheeks. Plain and simple. I'm gonna give it a whirl.
So it's been about 5 months since we've seen you. Is that a good amount of time for you to be off, or did you want to fight sooner?
No, I look forward to the time off now. I'm getting older. Kids are getting older. So I like to spend time at home more. So, yeah, the time off is really nice. It's a lot. It's a change of pace. But I'm at a point in my life now where it feels right. So, yeah, I enjoy it.
So I know you were supposed to fight Marvin Vettori. When you heard that it was going to be Chris Curtis, what were the changes that you had to make, or of any, for this fight camp?
I think Chris is a lot more technically capable in the striking realm. He's been around a long time, fought a lot of good guys. He's game as they come. So more mental. I had to prepare in a whole different realm mentally. But again, Chris is how he approaches the fight. His IQ is better. He's got better technical abilities, in my opinion. So I would say Chris is a lot tougher test than Marvin is. So it is what it is. We've faced each other before, obviously, and we only had a couple days or whatever to prepare, if anything, and now we have a little bit more time to prepare for each other. So we'll see who can make the adjustments, and we'll see what happens.
Do you think that's going to be the biggest difference this time around? Just the fact that you were able to actually prepare for him, whereas you weren't before?
For sure. I think my preparation is what makes me me. The way that I prepare mentally, physically, emotionally is just what just makes me me. That's what allows me to go do what I need to do and be the best that I can be. And as I always say, I can't control the outcome of that fight on Saturday, but I can control my preparation. My preparation has been the best that I could possibly get. I feel great, and I'm ready to go test the waters. I'm ready to go see if I am as good as I think I am, and I'm ready to go test. I believe the first one was a fluke, and I'm ready to go test that.
Do you think that he's changed as a fighter since that first fight, or do you think he's the same?
I think he's the same. I think he approaches every guy a little bit differently with his tactics, but I still think he's the same guy. He's a crisp boxer for the sport of MMA. He's tough. He's game. His takedown defense is good. But we haven't really seen much else, you know. He's coming off of a close win, a very close win over one of my teammates. And, yeah, it's going to be what it's going to be.
What did you notice in that fight that you maybe, I mean, you don't want to give away secrets, I'm sure, but what did you notice in his last fight that maybe you're able to use for this fight?
Me and Mark are totally different guys. How we approach fights, how we fight is a lot different. I think I'm a lot more technical, whereas Mark's a gritty guy. He likes to get in there. He likes to make it a real gritty fight. And I'm more of a tactician. Can I do that kind of fight? Of course. Do I want to? No, because I feel I'm that good that I shouldn't have to make it a barn burner or a war. That's just how I look at it. But again, at this level, it may have to happen. But for that specific fight, I hear a lot of people thinking like he took Mark lightly, and I don't know. That could be the case. I'm not in his head, but he still looks exactly the same. I think Mark started opening up at the end and putting a lot of pressure, making it kind of a dirty fight. And Chris is one of those guys that's kind of like his action as far as his pressure with his strikes and everything, they kind of go like a roller coaster. Sometimes he's going to put a lot of punches together. Sometimes he's only going to get you with one. He'll lay off the gas a little bit. He'll put it back on. So he's very good at changing the pace of the fight and making it his pace. And that's going to be a difference here. I'm coming to control everything. It's on my terms. And that's how I've been approaching all my last fights, and I'm not going to change it now. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
What would this win mean to you?
It's just another win. I'm not putting any emphasis on anything. Yeah, I lost to the guy. I was winning until I wasn't on that one. It is what it is. He caught me. Stay in this game long enough, everyone's going to get caught. I feel I'm better. I feel I was better then. I'm definitely better now. And I'm just going to test that. Other than that, I just really want to get a win. My niece is going to be here. My daughter's going to be here. My mom's going to be here. Yeah, I'm just ready to do that and go enjoy the city. This is their first time here, so everything matters on winning for me. I just want to win, and I don't care how. It could be a 5-round boring fight, which me and Chris aren't going to do that, but it could be, and it is what it is. A win's a win, and we'll see what's next.
Is there any part of you that wants to finish him quicker than he was able to finish you?
Yeah, my ego or my competitive side does, but I'm not going to rush anything. I know how durable Chris is. Everyone probably knows how durable he is. His defense is really well. So, yeah, of course I want to, but I'm a realistic kind of guy, and I'm going to go out there, and if it presents itself, it presents itself, and I'm going to take it. If it doesn't, then I'll just beat him for 5 rounds everywhere the fight needs to go.
I know you don't want to look past him, but do you have any goals for 2024 that you've already set for yourself?
I want to be champion. I just need the opportunity. Every time I get an opportunity to go up, it always is taken from me. So I just want a shot at the belt, but the way the division's looking right now, you never know. You never know what's going to happen. It could be right place, right time. So I don't know. The way it looks is like the only person open after this above me is Sean. So that'd be good to run that one back. I mean, I had a tour of them, Sean, then Chris, so now go back around and it'd be Chris then Sean. That'd be pretty cool, but I don't know. Honestly, I'll sit back and look after Saturday night. I'm not looking past Saturday at all. I know the tough test that I have ahead of me, and there's a lot that surrounds this. This is kind of one of those things where it's all the marbles type deal. So I'm just focused on Chris.
Thank you.
Brendan, so when you hear Marvin obviously Marvin was your ticket into the top 5. When he pulls out, how bummed were you? Because you look at your track record, a lot of people, like you just said, your ticket up the other rankings get pulled out. How bummed were you?
If I beat Chris on Saturday, I'm still going to be number 5 next week. Like, you shouldn't be able to stay where you're at after being out for so long and then pulling out of fights. And other than that, I don't really care. I'm going to go up. I'm going to move up, and then it's old news from there. You could have fought me last year, could have fought me this weekend. So kind of see you later, buddy.
Obviously, it's a rematch, and you've said throughout your career you would like to fight the people that beat you just so that you can get it back. So I guess when it was presented to you, was it kind of like a no-brainer because you can get this one back?
It's a weird spot right now. It's hard to put personal, business, competitiveness. It's hard to put all that in the same circle. So it was kind of like, I want to. My ego says yes because I want to get this back, even though it's super nerve-wracking. Like, the guy he caught me once. Like, I've been in there with him before, so that takes a little bit off. Like, I know his speed, I know his power, I know his movements. Like, I know those things. And even though his movements can change a little bit, it's not going to be too much. It's still nerve-wracking. Like, what happens if I go out there and lose to him this weekend? Then I have to look at myself in the mirror and be like, man, does this dude really have my number? Like, shit, this sucks. Like, it's a weird situation, but obviously I'm up for the task. It was a weird situation, though, because, business-wise, I want to go up. I want to go up. I've been defending my spot for, it feels like forever now. Again, they always, the spot gets taken from me outside of my control, outside the UFC's control. Like, obviously, I'm very thankful that the UFC went out and still found me someone. And I still get to show up here. I still get to compete. I still get to get paid. So it is what it is at the end of the day. I'm a fighter. I'm supposed to fight. And that's what I do. They tell me they want this fight. Well, here I am.
Chris hasn't been submitted since 2011. Andre Muniz had never been submitted until you submitted him. So when you look at someone like Chris, during training, do you kind of game plan on like how you can catch him, or is that something that you're just gonna have to try and figure out during the fight?
Yeah, I try to visualize. I try to visualize in my head. But Chris is, like I said, he's a really tricky guy. Like, he's short, so he's harder to shoot on, and I'm tall, so it's a little bit, different. And I never come into a fight looking to just shoot. I never come to wrestle. When you try to wrestle me, then we'll wrestle on my terms, or I'll shoot to make you think. But I never really like force the takedown. So I feel if I get him on the ground and I get him on his back, he's got a little bit different. I don't care who he's fought. It's not me. So that's a whole different realm. It's a whole different environment. You might work on the ground with a lot of good guys. You might do this or that. But me on top, it's a different ball game. Even if you survive the round, great. But you're going to look totally different about everything, how you're going to view the fight with takedowns and trying to be defensive and your approach to push pressure on me and just being under me. The pressure that I give is just different. The way that I set up my strikes, my ground and pound is just different. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if we get there. Maybe we do, maybe we don't.
He was the last person to beat you. Obviously, you haven't lost since. What about that fight, I guess, changed your outlook, and what made you not lose again?
I think it was just more I realized that I needed to go work on my mentality and how I approach that. We train for everything but the mental part. And so working on my mental and being able to cope in different ways has really helped me. And that's what I focused on. Not specifically after that fight. It was after the Malkoon fight that I really went out, found someone, and dove into that. But that fight was another big piece. There was a lot of things going on outside of the fight, and it is what it is. He was a better man that night. He caught me. It is what it is. Now we're back, and we'll run it back, and we'll see if I can do what I'm supposed to do.
Purple shorts. How happy are you that you finally got him? And I guess was it worth asking for him for the last 1,700 fights?
I got white with purple lettering this time, so they said it'll take a process. But eventually, I don't know. Eventually, probably there'll be whatever color you want, But this one will be white with purple letters, and it's cool, man. It's cool to get all the eyes and this and that. And it's kind of like you feel like you earned it. At least where I'm at, I'm not one of these guys that only have a couple fights here or a couple wins, and then I'm asking for all this stuff. Like, I think I'm 11-2 in the promotion. So, yeah, it's cool, but it only matters if you're winning. That's just the sad truth in this business. Nothing matters unless you're winning or you're Conor McGregor.
It announced that today it was announced that you're in UFC 5 now. You got put in the video game. Were you happy about that?
I mean, yeah, another thing, it's cool, but I mean, they put 30 other people, so it's not like, oh, you're just getting this one, or you're with 3 other people. Like, there's 30 other people, So, yeah, it is what it is. It's cool, It's cool to say you're on a video game, but I'm not one of these guys. It's like, oh my God, like I don't know. It is what it is. I guess maybe I'm just in the weight cutting and fight mode right now, the way I'm not too affected by it. I don't know. We'll look at it next week. Again, I'm just super, super focused on the task at hand, and I'm just trying to put Chris away. That's really all that's on my mind. I want to win, but I want to put him away.
Since your last fight, there's a new champion in your division. I guess what are your thoughts on Dreykus as a champion?
I think he was given that. I don't think he took it from the champion. In my eyes, you need to take the belt from the champion. I think a prime example is Sean versus Izzy. Like, he went out there, he gave him the fight. Was it a 5-round fight? And he gave it to him the whole time? Yes. Did he finish him? No, but he still took it. There was no debating the fact that he beat Izzy. I don't think you can say the same for Sean and Dickus, but But yeah, man. I if I get my opportunity, which obviously someone's gonna have it before me, I think it's an easy night in the office. And obviously, I don't mean easy as it's a walk in the park. Every fight is a fight. It's tough. Anything can happen. But as far as stylistically on the matchup, I don't think he has what everyone else has, a puncher's chance. He beats me nowhere else.
There's been some rumors that him and Izzy are probably going to fight. What do you think of that matchup? Do you think Izzy deserves that fight with him, or do you think they're kind of just giving it to him?
No, I think they need the star power. I heard it might be in Perth, and obviously Izzy can sell over there for sure. He's still got star power. Izzy does. So, and they had their little beef back and forth. So I guess they're trying to build off of that. But I think, in my personal opinion, I think Sean and him should have to run it back. I think they should have to see who the real champ is. He's the champ now, so I think Sean would have to go and beat him convincingly. But that's way above my pay grade. I'm just trying to go beat Chris, and then I'm trying to get a title shot. And if I can't get a title shot, then Sean would be my next obvious opinion, because I think he should be the one fighting for the belt. So to go out there and beat Sean, one, I right that wrong too, and bigger than that, I know for a fact that I should be next in line for a title if I beat him.
Hamza and Robert Whitaker was announced for Saudi Arabia. Who do you got in that fight?
I don't know. I would say Robert. I think he's been at the top for a while. I think he's got his mentality fixed from whatever happened, he said, with Dickus, but it is what it is, man. It makes no difference to me. To be honest, it makes no difference to me. I'm just looking at, again, I'm looking at Chris, and then we'll see what's next, but they're out of my reach unless they're champion, just because of the fact of timelines and how that would have to work. So Sean seems realistic, depending on when they want him to fight, because if it's International Fight Week, that's like, for me, that's super soon. I'd literally have to go home and get ready to go right back to camp, and I have a lot of things to do in May at home. So we'll see.
And then finally, when is Tugo going to get in the UFC?
We're waiting for Tuco to get into the UFC. Waiting on Mick, Hunter, Sean, whoever, Dana. We're ready to put him in there. He's ready to go, and we're lacking in the 205 division, so we need new blood. He's new blood. They like going to England. He's a Londoner. He's a real Londoner, and no matter what, win or lose, he's going to come out there and he's going to put it on the line, just like me. So always a fan favorite. I mean, only thing that sucks is he's kind of ugly. So.
Brandon, I just got one back here. When Chris Curtis was in here before, he respectfully said, like, when you guys first fought, you didn't need to evolve. You already had top contender skills in that first fight. I was wondering, do you agree with that, or do you think the experience since then was very important for your future goals?
No, I think that's accurate. I think my mentality and, again, everything that was going on at that timeline really affected me. I didn't know how to tune that stuff out, and I didn't know how to deal with my own emotions from, again, another a ranked guy pulling out a week before. Just all the things that surrounded that fight was what hindered me. It was never the abilities, it was never the technical abilities or anything like that. So, but again, the experience only does nothing but help. But I had a wealth of experience before getting here to the UFC. I've had 5-rounders, I've had tough guys, so there was nothing new, to be honest, getting here or being here. I don't know. I can say it now that I've had 13 fights here. Like it just feels normal now. Like I honestly wouldn't know how to act going back to a regional show. It would feel just really, really weird after being here so long. But the experience definitely helped. But now I'm able to show more of my skills and more of my abilities. And again, I'm looking to go out there and just test them. I'm ready to see. I'm excited to see if I am as good as I say I am, if I'm better than him like I think I am. But again, that's no knock against Chris. I like Chris a lot as a person, as a human, as a man. I have a lot of respect for him. But this is just what I need to do to further my career and take that next step. I just feel it's my time, and I'm going to go out there and try to do just that. I'm trying to put him away, and I'm trying to move on to the next thing. Thanks, guys.
Get a shot of your shirt?
Yeah.
man. Small crowd today.
I was just going to say,
Small but
only
mighty.
the best are here.
I say the realest ones are here today.
Well, it's been about 6 months since we've seen you. What have you been up to in that time?
A lot of rehab. Man, not to spill the diary, but I went to my last fight with a torn MCL, and in hindsight, might have passed on it. In the future, I will, but I just had to do a lot of rehabilitation afterwards. I was able to avoid surgery, but needed to get a series of injections and some PT for a few months, and now we're back.
Everything good? You've tested it out?
Yeah,
Everything feels
yeah,
good?
sturdy, stable, feeling good.
I mean, you wouldn't say no anyway, so that was.
But from the past experience, though, I wouldn't step back in again, compromised to that extent. So yeah, I am good. I feel good.
What were the first thoughts when you heard the name?
Jackson? Yeah. Yeah, let's run it. I was really excited about the match. We're all kind of in that pool, we're like in this like mid 45 cesspool with each other. So everyone's got to get to matching up at some point. I dig it. I really like the matchup. He's a familiar style, and I feel like we're both dogs, but I've got a little bit more of a lot bit more of a sharpness and a technical aptitude than he does, and I think that I'll exploit him in exchanges.
Do you see the fight going 3 rounds, or do you feel like it'll be a quick in and out with him?
It could. I would love for it to be quick. I could definitely see the possibility for that. But he's tough. I'm tough. I could see it going 3.
So we had him in here earlier, and he seems to not like you very much. I'm just curious if you were aware of that, and if you know what the beef might be.
I don't know. I'm pretty neutral about him myself.
Do you want me to tell you what it is, or do you not care? Do you think it might be a mind game he's playing, or?
Oh, I don't care. You know what it is?
Yeah, he said you said some things about Cowboy that he didn't like.
Oh, that's pretty homosexual. That was a long time ago. That's like the softest shit of all time, dude. I promise Cowboy doesn't care about you. I was just drinking beers and eating hot dogs in San Antonio with Cowboy when he made it to the Hall of Fame. So, yeah, that's kind of silly to cry over another man's woes.
Do you plan on bringing that up if he brings it? I mean,
fuck no. Give a fuck. I think I want to remember that anyways. No, I don't care to bring that up. That has nothing to do. That was, I don't know, the first year I was here, maybe 5-6 years ago. Yeah, that's a wild thing to be holding on to.
Do you think when somebody is holding on to something like that maybe they're grasping at straws for something, that they're kind of hope that they are trying to give themselves an edge? Do you feel like he needs to hate you in order to fight you?
I mean, that's a personal question. You'd have to ask that guy that. It seems like it. Yeah, it seems a little bit like straw grasping. I don't know. I don't know.
So,
I'm stoked to do him in, though, man. I mean, I'm really excited. I was just telling the other media guys a second ago, this 45 process, it's just been that. It's been a bit of a process. And right now I feel more stable and grounded in the position, feel more doggy than ever. I'm excited. I'm really excited to hurt Damon. So he could be mad or be however he wants to be, but I'm going to be calculated.
Have you had a chance to kind of look at your year and plan it out how you'd like to see the year go? Do you have goals set in mind? I know you don't want to look past your opponent, but there's got to be some milestones you're hoping to hit this year?
Yeah, absolutely. And last weekend, there was a number of great featherweight fights and some good future opponents from those outcomes. So I've already got a few ideas of who I want to fight next. And again, we're all kind of on the same schedule. There's a handful of guys from the last 2 weeks. You got some guys in May, so it's moving kind of all according to plan. I think I could get something in before summer. That'd be awesome. And I do have an idea of the year. Yeah.
Thank you.
How happy were you to see Yusuf Zalal get back to the UFC and then go out there and beat Billy Q?
Man, he did what I should have done, make it look easy. And I knew he could. Stylistically, he's real smooth and clean like that. And I knew he'd be composed. We talked a lot about that already, and that was sweet to see. Irregardless, it was just cool to see your boy do his thing. So that was awesome.
I'm sure you were like all of us. Were like, he's too good to be on the regional scene, but for some reason he's not in the UFC. Like, were you just wondering when's he going to return?
Yeah. And we all knew it was just a matter of time. We all have obstacles and it's a volatile game. So, you know, he had his ups, he had his down, and then he was just crushing on the region scene. He was only getting more mature, more improved. And we knew he was going to be back in. It was just a matter of when, and that was best case scenario. You know, he was almost going to have to get the tough show. Ended up getting the short notice call, which I would take over a TV show any day of the week. You know, and so yeah, it was a great matchup for him too.
What's it training like training like with him, where it's like he's grinding so hard on the regional scene? You know how hard he works. You know how much he offers the team, but he's not in the UFC. Like, so how was it training with him? Seeing him try to get back to the big show?
I mean, it's the same as anybody. You know, you don't really think about promotions when you're in the gym. You just have, you know, the guy beside you, you know, the guy in front of you. And everybody's so well skilled. Everybody's so game. So it's like, you know, I wasn't looking at Yusuf like, oh, the former UFC contender, and now he's, you know, the regional stud. No, I look at him like Yusuf, you know, just like I look at, you know, Brandon like Brandon, you know, Markel like Markel, any number of the guys, you know, they're just, they're all so talented. We get guys that come in to cross train, and, you know, most of our team will take them to school, you know, and so it's never a label of promotion, you know, it's always just everyone's grinding, everyone's got great merit, and we all know what everyone's capable of doing. It's just a matter of, hey, can we show up and perform and get it done, you know?
Who's the next Factory X stud besides Louis Groulet? Who's going to make it to the UFC next?
Yeah. Louis is sick. I did good call outs on that. Rafa, yeah. Yeah, we got AY's coming up. Brian Mitchell, another one, Hollywood. Yeah, we got a good host of guys around that 35, 45. They're all on the brink right now. It's a tough pool. 55 looks good too. But yeah, that's tough pool of cats. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Cool. All right. Thanks, guys.
Hi everyone.
Hi, welcome to Vegas. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really good. So I'm here since 10 days. So I've had the time to look at the city, get some training, get used to the jet lag. So yeah, I'm feeling really good. I'm ready for Saturday night.
What do you think of Vegas so far?
I did not have the time to really enjoy Vegas because I'm preparing a fight. But so far it's good. People are good. There's some beautiful landscape outside of the city, and there's some nice casinos, some nice cars, some nice things to see. So I can't wait to discover a more lot of Vegas after the fight.
Have you thought about how you're going to be able to top your last fight? Because I can't imagine any fight feeling as good as that did. You know, UFC debut in your home in front of a crowd. So how do you top that?
Yeah, that's hard. That's really hard to top that. I just try to really stay focused, and I'm not trying to top my last performance. It's like, okay, this fight has been done. It was a really great performances. No, I'm just sticking to my plan, to my training, and like if the next fight, or so this fight, can get better, I don't think so because it's really hard. It will be great, but otherwise, it's like as long as I win the fight, it's good for me. I'm just trying to win it in the great way, with a great finish, but with my style, my fighting style. I think great finish always comes. So it should be another great performance, but top the Paris performance really hard.
The next time it'll have to be when you win a title, right? That's going to be the only thing that will top that performance, I would imagine.
Yeah, maybe win a title. Yeah, maybe win a title can top that performance, or just have a main event in Paris. A main event in Paris, I think, could top this. But yeah, debut in Paris, first round knockout, performance of the night. Yeah, hard to top that. Really hard.
Do you feel like the pressure is kind of a little bit less now that you've gotten over your debut? You've already showed the crowd, like, this is who I am. Now I can just fight. I don't have to worry about showing off.
Yeah and no, because I think it's like everyone always expects more. So I don't really feel the pressure, but I feel like people are waiting for me to do something as big as the last performance or the last 3 performances, to have a great finish, to really do a masterclass, like do not get hit and just see everything and be perfect in the fight. So yeah, that's more that type of pressure, to be the perfect fighter in the cage, do not get hit, otherwise he's not that good because it was not perfect. It's more that type of pressure, but I'm like, yeah, this is a fight. That's a fight game. So last time was good, but this one I will probably get hit because Chepe will bring it. So I'm just focused on winning the fight. So that's all I care.
Have you thought at all about the fact that you are going to be coming from this big fight with all the crowd, and then you're coming here without a crowd at all, or a very small crowd? Have you thought about that? Is that going to change how you think you might fight?
Yeah, I've think about that. We have talked about this with my team. But I have a lot of experience. I've fought a lot in Cage Warrior during COVID. I had the world title during COVID, so I'm used to empty venue. It's not the first time. I think I had maybe 3 fights in an empty venue or with really small people, and there's even some show in Cage Warrior there's not so much people. So I'm used to it. I know how it feels to fight in an arena where there's nobody or there's not a lot of noise when you hear the canvas and all of the stuff. So yeah, I know what will happen on Saturday in terms of atmosphere. But yeah, it will be real because my last fight, it was in Paris and it was crazy crowd. But I'm ready for it, yeah.
What do you think of your opponent?
I think Chepe's game is like he's a dog. He's really hard. He's going to bring it. He's going to come try to hurt me, bring the fight, do some chaos, and try to knock me out, throw me to the ground with his judo. He will try to be dirty. He will try to be really hard on me. I think he will try to outdog me and do Chepe, like Chepe style, yeah.
Are you expecting to get another quick finish, or do you plan to go the 3 rounds? Do you want to prove that you can go the 3 rounds and put on a war?
It's like I want to prove nothing. I just want to win the fight, so I really don't know what will happen. I just know that I have my game plan and I will stick to it. And if everything comes like we plan, I should get a finish. But will it be quick? I don't know. Chepe is really tough, so maybe I will not get a finish and go to the decision. It's like I'm just going to fight, do my style. Let's see what happens.
I know you don't want to look past your opponent, but have you kind of set some goals for yourself for this year? How many fights you want to do, if you want to go out on the road and fight somewhere else, or even just personal goals?
It's like we have not really talked about it. We really just want to take each fight at a time. Don't sit too long because I'm still young and I want to take my time right now. But I want one more fight this year or two maybe, but one should be already good. Maybe on the UFC Paris card, the next Paris card, with a good opponent. So we'll see what happens this Saturday, and then we'll talk because it's hard to talk when the fight has not been done.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Morgan,
Hey.
is this the first time you've fought in America?
Yeah, that's my first time here. Yeah.
Are you excited because your first fighting in America and you're fighting in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, correct?
Yeah. I'm excited, but I love to fight in front of a crowd. So it's like I'm excited, but there's this thing that I'm in the Apex. There's not so much people, so it's weird feeling. It's like I'm happy to be there, to be fighting for the UFC, to have all this stuff, to have been to the UFC PI was crazy. But it's like I love crowd. I love to put on a show. So that's why I will miss on this fight.
Obviously, you want to fight in Paris later this year, but do you want to come back to America and fight in front of a big crowd?
Yeah, definitely. I would love it. Fight the T-Mobile Arena or the Sphere, or all these big venues. Like I'm coming from a small town. I'm always dreamed to fight in America and be in front of the big crowd.
And I want to ask you, a former opponent of yours, Paul Hughes, is not in the UFC yet, and I just want to know why do you think the UFC has not signed him?
I'm sorry, I have no answer for this. It's like I'm not his management, and I don't know what their plan are. I don't know what they want to do, but his game is good. So future will have great thing for him. I think he will probably win this weekend as he's fighting, and I think all the door will be open for him. He's still young, so we'll see.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Alex back here. So last time we saw you, it didn't go your way. I know you're very analytical and about MMA. So when you went back, what were your kind of takeaways about the fight, and what do you think really went wrong?
Yeah, good question. One, congrats to Buckley on his win last weekend against Luque. He looked great. Dude's built like a cannon. It's crazy. So after the fight, my coach was like, Morono, you looked flat. What happened? Like, why the kind of like lackluster performance? So it took me a couple days to kind of sit and reflect. And I've never, ever been one to make excuses. So I always try to figure out like why things happened and then make those adjustments. And I did change one thing in that fight. I remember when I got the matchup, I wasn't particularly excited. I like fighting the vets naturally, but knew it was going to be a tough opponent. And then it was at the Apex, and I just fought in a couple of crowds. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to make this one routine. I'm going to slide in and slide out. And turns out like fighting is anything but routine. And I realized why fighting is so important to me, and it's to experience that like emotion and fatigue and energy and everything. So I remember I dialed my rageometer down for that fight, and like my warm-up was kind of flat. The walk was not exciting. And then I was ready to scrap. Like I was as prepared as I could have been for the fight camp on that one. And just started kind of slow and never really found a rhythm. So I was actually really happy to get booked at the Apex again so I could dial that rageometer back up and really enjoy the walk and perform like I do. And doing that against Buckley was the wrong guy to do it against. I needed to get a little wild against him, and I tried to be like really tactical and really technical and calm. And that's just not really who I am. I've even made mistakes in the past of bringing too much pre-fight energy, and sometimes it would make my opponents' energy levels rise. But I would rather that than be lackluster. So I think just dialing like the energy and the mindset back up to where it normally was is what I needed to do. Like if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I feel like I had everything dialed in really well, and like just shifted my dial a little bit in that last fight, and didn't perform great because of that.
And that's interesting you say that, fighting shouldn't be routine, because it's kind of the opposite of what other fighters say. They want the exact same routine every day. They want everything lined up. Anything throws them off, it can kind of set them off. So how do you kind of make that assessment for yourself? Like, I don't want this to be like routine.
So I'm not particularly superstitious, but I'm a super scheduled person. Like even out of camp, I follow the same training regimen. And then on fight week, everything, I try to track my weight numbers and everything, but I'm talking like fight day. I don't want it to be like any other day. Like I want to experience all of the emotions that come with fighting. I actually had a fight years back in the UFC that I had lost. It was a big fight in Houston, very unfortunate, big favorite to win, lost it. And the next day I was like, why do I put myself through all of this? And like, obviously not fighting is never an option. So I had to figure out like, why do I do it? It's not for fame, it's not for the money. It's for the experience to fight. It's the nerves, it's the excitement, it's like the serene rage you get to feel in the octagon. So once I understood that, it allowed me to tap into it. And like what I try to do is weaponize any nerves, like any emotions, try to weaponize them. They're there to keep you alive and make you feel sharp. Back before the UFC, I had one fight against a pretty tough opponent, and it's the only time I felt nothing. I stomached all of the nerves. And I lost. I had no caution. I was throwing down crazy, got clipped by a punch, not great. I fought after that, and it was arguably my least impressive opponent, but I had been more nervous than ever before, and I absolutely annihilated the guy. And then I learned everything, all the chemicals your brain's producing in this high stress scenario exists to have us thrive in these combat settings. So then I learned to embrace those nerves and weaponize the emotions, and it's been a strong tool ever since.
And so you just said before that you like fighting the veterans. Well, you got another one, Court McGee. What were you thinking when you got this matchup? And really, what do you expect when he gets in the octagon? Because older veteran coming off a big surgery. Where do you really think he's at in his career?
I always anticipate my opponents to be at their absolute best. I always expect them to be bigger and stronger than they really are. So once we're tied up in the octagon, there's no new expectations. But he's got more fights than me. It's funny. There's of everyone on the card, he's got the most UFC fights. I have the second most. I think that's cool. I think between the two of us, it's like 43 UFC fights, which is awesome. I was surprised to get that name and very happy to fight a vet. I remember watching him on The Ultimate Fighter, and I've watched pretty much all of his fights since. And he's a gamer. You know, he's gone the distance with a lot of really high-level guys, and I'm expecting this fight to be gritty, and I do expect it to go all 3 rounds. So I'm looking to win every minute of this 15-minute fight.
And, you know, besides your skills, what makes him beatable as a fighter? Without, you know, giving too much of your game plan, just in general, what makes him beatable?
Man, honestly, he's got so much octagon time. That's a harder question to really analyze and answer than you'd think. But I've been giving this answer for the last 19 interviews, but like, I'm always gonna, you know, look for the KO. We're gonna grapple in this fight, of that I can guarantee. So like, a KO is a gold medal, a submission's a silver medal, and a decision's a bronze medal. So I'm just looking to get that gold for sure.
And where are you at in your career, do you think? You know, because you've had so much experience, but still 33, so it's not like that 35 and older stat that they always throw out there. So where do you see yourself right now?
Really in the middle of it all. You know, Court's 39. I'll be very grateful if I'm fighting in the UFC at 39. That would, you know, be another 20 fights, which is awesome. You know, so long as I can consistently win, I'll be fighting. My brother asks me all the time, he's like, how are you still, you know, encouraged to train? I am more excited about training and fighting now than ever before. So, I mean, I'm going to do this until the wheels fall off, and I really do feel like I'm at the peak. If I could fight more in a year, I would. Usually it's like every 5 months we get booked. Like, if you look at the welterweights, that's kind of the cycle. So, but that's why I take so many short notice fights, because if I can fight more, I would. I think I fought 3 times in a year for my maximum. I'd really like to make it 4 or even 5 in a year. That would be really cool.
You know, you kind of just answered a little bit of this question, but just go a little bit more in depth. When you came into the UFC, you were young, hungry, you know, I want to feed my family. Now you kind of have a way out, right? Like, you coach, you have your gym. So has it been a little bit harder, just even a touch, to like get more motivated?
No. Oddly enough, the motivation is more now than ever. I never fought for any reason other than enjoying the fight. I know that may seem crazy, but the money now is awesome. You know, I don't know how many contracts deep I am, but I'm super grateful for the UFC and the opportunities they've given me. And no, I mean, fighting is so much fun. I wake up, you know, I go to sleep excited every day to train and teach. And when I'm not fighting, I have a roster of guys fighting out of my gym, amateurs and pros. We have jiu-jitsu tournaments and competitions like every weekend. I mean, it's a great time for martial arts. And again, I'll be as active as possible for as long as I can.
And so last question, you know, the top of the division's a touch of a mess right now, right? You got like Bilal Muhammad's waiting, but there's reports that there was 3 fights offered to Edward that weren't Muhammad. Who should Edwards fight next, and how do you kind of want to see your division play out for the rest of the year?
It's a great question. Give Bilal the title shot. I mean, Edwards has done a good job as champ. You know, I could see him defending his belt for some time, but, you know, Bilal's earned it. How many fights win streak is he on? You know, I don't know. But the activity is always cool. You know, I can't really think who's in the top 5 for welterweights. You got Leon and Bilal.
Shavkat's the main one. They're talking about Islam maybe comes up. You know, maybe Hamzat goes down. At least these were just some of the rumors.
Yeah, man, I like when guys stay in their weight classes and like defend their belts. But yeah, Shavkat's an interesting guy. I know Jack Della Maddalena called him out. That'd be a fun fight to watch for like a potential contender. But I'd say like let Leon and Bilal fight, and then let the winner of Maddalena versus Shavkat, you know, fight there for another belt. But it's cool. There was a big, heavy, like, wrestling influence for the champs for a while, you know, with Woodley and Colby and Edwards, and now it's a bunch of well-rounded guys, but mostly strikers. And I think striker champions are the more fun champions to watch.
I know it's my last one, but I just remembered one more. I've heard in a lot of interviews of yours, you know, you voice your respect for Jose Aldo. How cool is it to hear a legend like him is going to be coming back?
Yeah, man, Aldo's a beast. I got this artist. He's one of my purple belts at our gym, Frankie Cardona. He's like known for painting murals all around Houston for the Rockets and Texans. And we have 6 MMA people on the wall at my gym, like myself and Ricky as like a gift from him. Then I got DC and Habib and Valentina Shevchenko and GSP. But then on the striking side of our gym, I'm getting 6 other portraits, and Jose Aldo made the cut there. It's like Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, Buakaw, my old coach Gerardo, may he rest in peace, love that man. And then we got Anderson Silva and Jose Aldo. So we're gonna have Aldo looking over us when we're low kicking each other. But yeah, he's the man. He's fighting Jonathan Martinez, who's got a great low kick game himself. That's an interesting fight, but I'm looking forward. I'll definitely be watching that one. Like both dudes, but I'll definitely be rooting for Aldo.
And it's great to end the day with a little Buakaw shout out. So
hey,
thank you for
my
that,
man.
and thanks for your time.
You got it. Thank you.
Hey, Alex, what's the plan for Sean Kennard?
You know what? Sean's a beast. Man, he broke his hand, and like he made a post about it in his last fight. Still won. He was able to like kind of easily win that fight. In between rounds, we were like, you can beat him without it. Like we like made some mods and calls, and sure enough, he finds the finish. I don't know, fight once more. I think August was our mutual doctor's return date for him. Fight once more, maybe go contender series. I know the 85 division, you don't have to have that many fights and then get signed. You know, we'll see. I know Sean's 34 or 35, so he doesn't have too much time, but he's a beast. He just got promoted to black belt. I gave him his black belt in January. The broken hand stinks to deal with, but it happens. I actually broke my hand in the Buckley fight, but thankfully it didn't require surgery or anything, so I was healed up pretty quick. But great question, Top Gun, man, I love him. He's actually, I didn't realize this, my striking coach is behind us. He did it in a post, but Sean's fought, I think 7 or 8 times, AMI and Pro combined. He's never lost a round. He's a beast. Great striking, great grappling. He was a SWAT team captain and a police officer, so he's been through some crazy scenarios, so he's got like a perfect mind for combat sports. But he's healing up now, gonna get back to training soon, and then he'll fight for Fury, get another win, ideally, and then go to contender is kind of my long plan for him.
And how bummed was Ricky Turcios having to, not fight at UFC Mexico?
So Ricky is one of the coolest guys ever. Again, Coach Matt, my striking coach, said, he's like, Ricky is the nicest guy ever, but in the cage, he's even meaner than I am. He's got such a good switch for MMA. So in Mexico City, we just finished our warm-up. I'm switching out of my sweaty warm-up clothes into my fight kit, and they let us know that Rosas isn't going to fight. And like I was like, is the fight 100% off? And they were like, it's 100% off. And I told Ricky, and Ricky was like meditating, about to make the walk. And he was cool. Now, granted, it was so out of our hands, for him. And Ricky's not one to like lose his cool or freak out, but he was like, all right, what are we going to do? And they're like, we'll rebook it soon. They tried to rebook it for the next week. We got our plane tickets. We signed the contract, but it still didn't work out. I'm not too sure what went down on Rosas' end. But Rick was cool. It was so funny. He was ready to go fight and win and then go eat some queso birria, which is a really unhealthy but awesome Mexican taco dish. But he never got to do it, and the fight never happened. So, he definitely got kind of caught in the wings there. But he's cool, man. He's staying in really good shape. He's like, every Tuesday I'm waiting for the call for a new matchup. So I know the UFC will do right by him. They hooked him up and told him they'd book him here pretty soon.
Thanks, man.
You got it. Cool. Thank you, guys.